All right, wait.
Round two.
All right, everybody. Game is on. We're currently looking at the playoffs of Heroes Launch GG, and that means we're on Braxis Holdout. It's a best of 3 series, and we have the Griefings going up against CLN Giants. And if I say we, then I have my fellow Brit on the stream. So yeah, welcome.
Fellow Brit. Fellow Brit. I didn't realize you'd adopted the Britishness. Welcome. You're one of us now.
Yeah, no, screw that. I'm already like one of, like, yeah, I'm always, okay.
You're
Screwed
UK
that up.
Currently.
Okay, I have to excuse myself here. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning for this shit. So, Tetcha, it's his fault that I'm even here. So, if I may speak and call myself a Brit, which was not my intention, then that's his fault too.
It's true. This is entirely my fault.
I'm glad we had that sorted out. As we talk about... As we go into game number 1, guys, again, a bit of a caveat here. This is, of course, the amateur scene, so right now we are going to see a couple of bans and picks that might not just be the meta. But to be honest, most of the guys that you're going to see playing these games are masters or grandmaster players. We are currently in the round of 8 still, if I'm not mistaken. We have Garrosh banned out, first of all, by the CLN Giants, and the Griefings with a Genji ban. Should be a pretty cool series, and Braxis as a first map should also be fun.
That it should be. So, with Genji and Garrosh banned out on Braxis, so laners take a huge amount of the priority, but this is a map where if you want to get your tank fairly early, Muradin, for example, could give you a lot of shrine control, beacon control on this map, then you might want to pick that up early, especially with Garrosh already removed. Otherwise, any kind of stacking assassin is always going to be good because you have a 4-man lane.
I'm actually pretty interested to see what especially going to happen when it comes to heroes like, for example, even Medivh. Like any kind of hero that can rotate pretty quickly between lanes is going to help. It's one of the reasons why we oftentimes see Genji banned out. We had a bit of a Medivh priority in a lot of the games that I casted of Heroes Launch. But then, wow, a first pick Chromie.
Yeah, I mean, when I said stacking assassins, I didn't mean that one first pick. Like, maybe you could have that one a little bit further down. First pick is very aggressive.
Yeah, and normally that's one of those picks that you get punished for hard. So, the thing is, Chromie isn't really susceptible to all kinds of just engage in general. Maiev, for example, is a really nice pick into a Chromie, and so is Muradin. It's actually one of the things that happened at the mid-season brawl, where a team went for an early Chromie, and then both Muradin and Maiev were picked. That was against Fnatic, and Fnatic just shreked her completely. Now there's the Muradin pick immediately, and there's Maiev as well, so they definitely watched those games. So, to put that in perspective, there were also a couple of Chromie picks at the mid-season brawl early on that worked, and one of the reasons is that in most of these games you had Muradin already picked away and Maiev banned out. Now both of them are available, and I actually love that they are going for the immediate pick. Chromie is going to be, I mean, by all means, like Chromie should be completely getting destroyed in this game. You just wait for her to start the animation for a combo, Muradin, Maiev jump in, and they just completely wreck her. So that's what the idea here is already with the Muradin and Maiev pick for the bot lane. It's not going to be an easy Chromie game.
It's going to be rough. So whatever kind of assassin they pick has to have some kind of peel. Cleanse might actually be essential here. So their assassin, their healer might just have to be Muradin. Not Muradin. What am I doing? Might just have to be Uther straight up, just for the kind of protection that it can offer. But they're sticking with Stukov, so no cleanse, but at least a little bit of peeling. Varian, though, not that good for peeling.
Yeah, but you see what the idea is here for them. That's also why the Chromie pick came in. They
the
really,
one-shot.
yeah, they want to go for one shot, so they want to dominate level 4 to 10 by Varian taunting the silence coming out through Stukov, and then Chromie just murdering everyone. The thought process isn't really too bad. I don't mind the idea behind it. It's just you give up a lot of wave clear on Braxis, and that's normally not a good idea, especially when you're running into an opponent that might get the objective over you, because once you have the objective rolling down the lane, how do you stop that? And that's going to be the biggest question for the Giants. If they don't dominate early on, they're going to be in trouble.
Very true. But dominating early on couldn't be too bad for them, considering Varian now has Taunt on level 4. So assuming they can get to level 4 before the objective gets too far out of control, they might be able to start making plays, picking up enough kills to begin that snowball, but it's also going to be dependent on their solo lane. This is going to be very dependent on a 4-man victory by picking up kill after kill. If their solo lane struggles, this is not a comp that really lends itself to effective rotations.
And for the solo lane, we could still see Blaze. That's still a great pick here.
Yeah.
So we could that coming into play, unless it's of course banned by the Giants. That's another thing.
I mean, if they don't feel comfortable in their early game, they could maybe even go for Ragnaros in the early game, just for the pausing of the solo lane.
I mean, also Ragnaros on the side of the Giants would maybe be a good idea. I'm even not joking. I'm actually advocating for Lava Wave, which is insane. But they kind of need a Ragnaros with Lava Wave, and Molten Core would be able to stop. It's a bit of a weird thing, because like if you get it and you spec into Lava Wave as well, you all of a sudden have the wave clear that can let you deal with your opponent taking an objective. The question is, do you really want to go into a draft that even deals with that possibility? Because if you go for that snipe draft that they're trying to use right now, the whole idea basically hinges on you dominating the game and getting your kills in. So do you even want to have that safety option, or do you just go way harder and go for like a high risk, high reward setup where you don't where you just like spec into even more damage to make that kill that you need a reality?
Like let's say a hacker, for example, someone who could maybe even join in with the blow up comp, someone who can rotate down and make the play that way.
Exactly, but again, you're running into that problem. If you don't get your kills, you will have a big issue there. Uther taken out too, that really helps Maiev later. Also gets another stun in. Li Ming for resets, and also trying, of course, to capitalize on the Stormbolt and the tether that Maiev and Muradin are gonna try and set up against Chromie. There's a lot of really good tools that they have here.
Yeah.
And Uther has the cleanse, Divine Shield,
yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Uther is the #1 support against this kind of setup. You have 2 technical cleanses in the form of the Hand of Protection and Divine Shield if you need to go super overkill. You have armor, you have the Divine Shield Invulnerability, you have all of these tools that are perfect against this kind of one-shot comp. Unless you are the target, in which case self-divine shields might have to be required, but with stuck-off silences, Uther's just going to have to play just very safely and just spam out the heals and the cleanses for when they're needed.
I'm actually really a little bit worried about CLN Giants. I casted a game of them recently on Tomb when they actually did really well there. Didn't win it in the end, but it was still pretty impressive how they performed in the early game. And I feel this is another game where they have to win it early on. So what's the solo laner going to be? They go into Thrall and they have Phoenix now as well.
Could technically be Eva. Phoenix solo lane has been a thing several times. That's a Rexxar. So
it is the best Rexxar map by far, so I don't really mind Rexxar on this map. I would have preferred one of the teams to go for Blaze. I think it's a bit of an oversight that we don't have that, but I'm not really too... I'm not really having a problem with Rexxar on the solo lane. But I mean, as it stands, guys, we're going to go into game #1 between the CL Giants and Griefings. Alright everyone, game #1, and to the left we have Griefings, where Muradin is played by Eingar. We have Blomman on Li Ming, Chikador on Uther, Hidder on Rexxar for the solo lane, and Nightborn on Maiev.
And on the right-hand side, it is going to be CL Giants with Herodus Herodus playing Thrall, Ison playing Stukov, Safety IQ playing the Chromie, Get Andre playing the Phoenix, and Samro playing Varian.
Did you call Steffi Safety?
Yes, because I can't read today. Okay. Steffi IQ playing the Chromie, because apparently my IQ has no safety at all.
So Rexxar at the top lane should be pretty difficult to beat for Thrall. Rexxar is actually a really decent pick on Braxis. Now on other maps he's more of a meme hero, but on Braxis as a 2-lane map he's actually quite successful. So again guys, we're currently looking at the heroeslaunch.gg, the amateur scene playoffs for Season 6 if I'm not mistaken. Season 7 signups are open, so if you haven't heard of the European Amateur League yet, then I would highly encourage you to check the website out. Again, it's heroeslaunch.gg, and sign up for Season 7. They usually have 170 to 180 teams that sign up. You can sign up and as an individual player, you don't have to have a team. It's a pretty amazing community, so definitely check them out. That being said, this 4-man is where a lot of the things are going to be happening. Now, for the CLN Giants, it's a lot about Varian, who is currently getting bodied here by Eingar, and wow, Li Ming with a combo as well. That is really hurting. He needs level 4, they need the taunt, and then they're gonna try and taunt into Stukov Silence, into a Chromie comp to get kills. But with that early Chromie pick, the immediate reaction of Maiev and Muradin was, in my opinion, perfect in the draft, and that should make it very, very difficult for Chromie to survive throughout the game.
Just as a point, there is a possibility that they might not even go for the temporal loop here. They might just rely on the Chromie slows with the Purification Salvo combined with Earthquake. They have a lot of slows to potentially set up for that. So they've set themselves up for either. Also, Arsenal Synergy by Get Andre, the talent we actually saw the most at MSB, can give you incredible AoE burst if you're able to get it stacked up pretty easily, which isn't too hard.
I have to say that Blowman in particular is doing a really good job with all the combos that he's throwing out here. I mean, that Li Ming is just murdering, but there we have the first kill, and that's exactly the setup we've been talking about, without the level 4 even. Just going in, getting a quick kill against Maiev here, so you need to be a bit careful. So the thought process for the blue team has to literally be, watch Chromie, and whenever she starts to rank up her combo, jump in with either Muradin or Maiev and target her. But Stukov can, of course, throw a bit of a wrench into those plans, depending on how they use that. Bit of a weird engagement. 3 versus 4 down at the bot lane, since they're not waiting for Maiev, so that was a bit of unnecessary damage that they just took. It shouldn't really be a problem for Rexa to hold the top lane against Thrall. I'm slightly surprised that he lost that, even for a short period of time.
The bear died fairly earlier in the lane, so Thrall was able to take control for just a little bit, and as such got only 12% for his team because bot was held so long. But right now, Rexar's back, Misha's back, so they're gonna lose top lane there.
Yeah, Muradin jumping out, but also good old Varian has taken a little bit of a beating there. Now at the top lane, as you can see, the problem is that Thrall is now in a situation where he has to either go for the point or he can clear the wave, but he can't do both. So you either lose the objective or you lose experience, and normally what you're trying to do is just say, okay, I'm going to keep up an XP, but that's about it. Down here at the bot lane, on the other hand, Varian is in trouble, gets tethered, and he is going to fall.
Chromie's launching in the shots though, trying to get some damage, but this is going to be the double channel and likely be the objective going over here. Where's the tether onto Steffi? Not coming out, not off cooldown, so no, Nightborn gets taken out by that Arsenal Synergy from Get Andre.
Yeah,
oh
Nightborn with the balls of steel here, just saying like, boys, I got this, jumps into the double tower, and then immediately regrets his life decisions. So that was a quick kill against him, and Muradin was attempting to do something here. But they still get the objective, and that's now one of the situations that we talked about earlier. There is a severe lack of proper wave clear on the side of CLN Giants, and they are going to face the music at the top lane. This is the first wave, so it's not going to hurt too much yet, but it should definitely yield some dividends for the blue team.
Once 10 pops up, we will probably see Phoenix go for what we have seen Phoenixes go for consistently on this map, and likely go for the Planet Cracker, more as a wave clear tool than anything else. We have seen people do this consistently in multiple regions. But for now, just having to stick with that phase bomb style of auto attack as basically their only wave clear alongside Chromie.
We still have a bit of an experience lead, though, for the red team. I'm actually really surprised. I'm not quite sure where they lost the XP, because with all the structures that were just taken down, there should be a lead for Griefings, but that wasn't really the case. So it's pretty interesting to see that happen in the first place. That early talent is now also going to help them a little bit more. We have actually on level 7 now Dragon's Eye taken, so it's all about the snipes here. Getting the extra damage in the center of the Dragon's Eye is going to really help. Attempt to go for a camp here, immediately invaded. This is literally what the Giants have to do right now. They need to be aggressive with this because they need to find their kills. And their strongest moment is between level 4 and level 10, when the taunt on Varian is having a huge impact here.
Get Andre trying to lay down just a little bit of pain onto the Muradin here. You can see him just quickly swapping for that Arsenal Synergy value. 3 fast attacks and 1 bomb attack. Not even landing that time, just drops it onto Engar instead. Engar, sorry. As we see the extra damage come out as they take out Uther pretty quickly. This is exactly what they want to do.
And with Uther, we have Guardian of Ancient Kings taken as the level 7 talents I just highlighted. Really smart choice here, especially with the silences coming in through Eisen. You really want to make sure that these... Like, the key factor is, if your opponent goes for a wombo and you shut it down and you don't lose your hero, you are finding yourself in a pretty decent spot. But they need to win early on. That's what we already talked about during the draft, because this is a setup where they're just lacking wave clear. Then, to be fair, there's not an amazing amount of wave clear on the other side either. Li Ming doesn't really give you that option. If we would have seen Gul'dan, for example, that might be a bit of a different factor here. But there's still a lot of aggression, especially against Chromie in that backline. And that's something where Eingar and Nightborn should pretty soon start to ramp up a bit of the damage, especially with Li Ming now also having Calamity. There's a lot of potential to blow up the Gnome.
Here's a fascinating point. We talked about lack of wave clear, and we usually have seen pro teams with Phoenix make up for that with the Planet Cracker to clear out the objective. But with the fact that they've gone for the slowing sands, it really does make me feel they're going to go for this Purification Salvo combo as Eingar gets taken out, which means their wave clear is still going to be fairly lacking, even if they move to the late game. So they're doubling down on this team fight wipe style composition.
To be honest, for the Giants, everything is going according to plan, as we said before. Now, first of all, at the top lane, Thrall has somehow still taken the beacon, and that shouldn't have happened in the first place. So it's a bit of a weird scenario for Hide here, who just has a problem dominating that. And with a 4-man doing really well at the bot lane, we're now seeing a massive, massive lead in the second objective for the Giants. And they're finding their kills. They're 5 kills against 1. If you go up against a combo like this, the execution or the burden of execution is more so on the opponent's team to try and dodge it and get those backline kills. And that's something that Griefings is currently failing to do. They're not collapsing onto Chromie or anyone else with the coordination that is necessary to make this happen. We've seen Muradin, for example, go in alone without Maiev and then fall. And now they are lacking the level 10 ability. At the top lane, they're already going to be pressured. The game plan for the CLN Giants is working out perfectly so far.
It is. They are able to put on some control. Thrall just sacrificed most of his health there, knowing Rexxar wouldn't risk coming near him, just to tank the bear on the point to give his team that objective. So right now, that's going to be bottom four going down, top 4 under pressure, but there's enough heroes here to potentially zone it. The taunt on the bear, Misha is able to escape there. It's a very short cooldown. You're okay to burn that. And finally, we also see Thrall looking in the Earthquake, so they've got this full wombo. He might die, though. Does he have Root off cooldown? No, he does not. He gets taken out.
Yeah, that's a level 10, but we already have the pressure at the bot lane to open up the keep itself. Now, the level 10 abilities, that's really one of the moments where the blue team has to step it up a little bit. The Griefings have now not only the cage, but they also have the Boars going in for the slow. Here comes a quick shove, but already another stun is coming in as Chikador is trying to go for it. They need to obliterate Stukov here. I don't even like him going for Varian, but Stukov is already isolated. They're going to get that kill, but the Divine Shield on Maiev to keep her alive. Stukov still on the run, and Nightborn needs to be careful. He can't be this close to the action, and he actually falls first. They're splitting really hard here. Stukov is still alive.
He's managed to juke his way to freedom. In fact, Li Ming's abandoned him. So Stukov, oh, hang on, she's going back. Will she find the Stukov? In the meantime, Eingar is going down. Stukov has escaped.
Yeah, Stukov is actually getting away, and Thrall is now moving in too from the side. Stukov is now literally just rooting them into the ground. He falls, but they get the kill against Rexxar as well. And that is Uther dying to very bad coordination, I'm sorry to call it out like this, on the side of Griefings. They had a secure kill against Stukov and then thought they could go for more. Got a bit greedy, and, well, the Giants just didn't panic. They played this they overstayed maybe their welcome at the bot lane a little bit, but once they were in a dangerous situation, they didn't panic, and they played to their strengths, and the coordination was just not there for their opponent.
I will call out there was a slight amount of panic there due to the fact that Phoenix actually cast Purification Salvo after it was interrupted the first time in completely the wrong direction. So he didn't actually land it on anyone, pointing back towards his own base. But other than that, they were able to control that fight fairly well. Stukov was able to juke his way to not only potential freedom, but to another kill. Did sacrifice his life because he stood still next to Li Ming, but overall, it has worked out in their favor. They're still in a very controlling position and now have a talent advantage.
There definitely are some communication issues right now for Griefings. They need, especially the stun on Uther leading in was also a bit weird. He used it on Varian, and I guess you can argue that you shut down Varian so that he can't get the taunt in, but if he just walks further and goes for the stun on Stukov, they can immediately blow him up and take him down there. Talking about people being blown up to the top, Muradin now died, and if you're that far ahead, this is the dream for this snipe combo that we're seeing for the Giants right now. It's literally just going in, charging, getting a stun off that we see now against Li Ming. Stukov isn't there for the silence, but Blomman still falls. So that's just kill after kill that gets picked up by the Giants. And if you have the momentum running in your favor, this comp is great because now they dominate the map, they have the map control, and they can go straight for the next objective, and it's going to be pretty rough for Griefings to come back into this.
That Varian Warbringer is helping out this comp so much. Even if they don't have the full combo up, the stickiness that that talent offers you, the ability to just consistently charge someone over and over again, makes it so hard for them to escape. It just sets it up to make it so easy for Chromie to hit the abilities as the taunt is landed. Silence is good. See, Muradin Purification Salvo takes him out.
Yeah, Muradin gets wrecked here, boss is taken, both of the beacons are now active and about to be claimed by the Giants too. Like, they are playing a great game here. And it shows again the power of such a snipe combo. It's pretty easy to execute actually. You need to have a little bit of synergy and you need to coordinate the attacks, but it's a lot easier to execute than a lot of other combos. So it's a very rewarding composition to be played. And when your opponent just screws it up in the early game or doesn't get the counter kills in the backline, then you can do real work. Because let's think about this again. This was a Chromie first pick and an immediate counter pick of Muradin and Maiev, and it never really yielded any dividends for them. Now here comes the Earthquake though, they're going to the top, Silence is in, Divine Shield comes out, but Blommen is already dead, that's Liming gone, most of the damage eliminated, Nightborn is in trouble, and Maiev could fall, should fall, is going down, and Uther is also dead. At this point, this just seems like the beginning of the end, to be honest. Eingar on the move back, gets taunted, and he dies too. The keep is already gone, the boss is on full damage mode, and we have 100% Zerg wave rushing through the bot lane.
Pretty much everyone was caught in the Warden's cage, and yet they were still unable to pick up a single kill. Cores going down, that is GG, and game number 1 goes over to the CLN Giants. Nicely played, nicely executed.
Well played by them, and yeah. Braxis ends up in favor of the Giants, and we're going to head into game number 2 in a bit to see if Griefings can come back into this. Okay everyone, game number 2 in the series. So we have the Giants go up against Griefings again, and on Braxis the Giants actually pretty much dominated. They did really well with that snipe comp that they were trying to use here. Again, from an execution perspective, it's definitely one of the easier comps to execute once that you have the combos down, and they did that really well. Now we're going into game number 2, and we're starting things off again with a Genji ban that Griefings has already shown us in game number 1.
Yep, the last time it was a Garrosh ban in response by the CLN Giants. Let's see if that theme continues. This is a map where, in terms of objective fights, it can be a little harder to use Garrosh because there's always those little shrine minions in the way of your toss. But overall, the ability to just wander into the shrine where you know most of the enemy is going to be and drop a taunt can be extremely effective.
I'm a little bit curious to see how exactly it's going to work out in terms of wave clear, what we're going to see if, for example, Gul'Danis comes in. I want to see what the offlane is going to be like. Also, a quick shout out to Bias, Sam, and Darantos for the subs. Thank you very much, guys. It's appreciated. But yeah, especially the offlane. What do you think? Last game was a little bit specific because on Braxis, Rexa is actually a good option. We had Thrall against him, so Blaze was ignored. On this map, I would say we're talking a lot more about Blaze, Leoric, and also Sonya. So what do you think on the offlane is going to be the case for the two teams?
I mean, we should in theory be dropping back to the normal solo laners, so like the Sonyas, especially on this map, Sonya is absolutely fantastic. Like the Blazes, but we did see it ignored, so I'm wondering about Blaze practice capabilities for these two teams. Leoric also can be extremely effective here, and Malthael, if you can get some good angles, can be devastating to a tanky line.
Medivh actually banned out here really early on already, so it seems to me a bit like there's some scouting going on where they know that the opponent likes to play Medivh quite a bit. This is of course the amateur scene, guys, so we have to put a bit of a caveat out that not all the bans are necessarily, or picks as well, are necessarily reflecting the current state of the meta, even though I have to say that a lot of the picks that we saw in the last game were very much on point. But if you put this into perspective, there's of course a lot of preference picks that we have from the teams, especially the farther down you go in divisions. We are here in the playoffs, so that means that everyone is at least Division 1 or Division 2. And we have a very, very early Deckard Cain pick. Now, Deckard on this map doesn't really shock me, but the priority that we see for him is a bit insane.
I mean, to see Giants just go like all in again, just go
Yeah.
super burst heavy. I mean, you've just asked for it. You've written CLN Giants a letter and said, "Hello, please burst me," and they are going to hopefully RSVP ASAP.
I would have thought like Malfurion as a first pick I can absolutely understand since he's just so far ahead. With Deckard,
Yeah.
got a bit more of the zone control that really helps you for shrines. Nice setups that you have with him, but it's still really surprising. And the Giants not going into an early Malfurion, but Garrosh right away and Hanzo, so already two very meta heroes, very top priority heroes that they've taken. Whereas I want to see a bit of a game plan coming together for Griefings now with the next double pick.
Better be like something to wombo with the Decade maybe, but or at least set up for the big sleep. I mean, otherwise I don't see why you would pick Decade over Malfurion as a first pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they definitely need something at this point that synergizes with him, and there are several tools of what they can use. But I'm really curious. Like, that Deckard pick so early in the game just hints that they want to pull something off here. And there's still a plethora of heroes that would be really strong here. I'm still a big fan of them going into an offlaner right now, because after this we have the second ban phase coming in, and picks on the opponent's team. So going into an offlaner would be great. But they go for Diablo and Jaina. I don't mind Diablo at
Hawk ring sleep?
all. Yeah, maybe something around that. But the thing is, if you go for... So we talked about burden of execution a little bit, and I mentioned now several times that the snipe comp that we had from the Giants in game number 1 is a little bit easier to execute once you have coordination down. If you talk about a big wombo combo, like stay a while and listen into APOC, into ring burst, I'm not quite sure if that's the right approach here, and I don't really think they're going to go into APOC at all. I feel it's still going to be a lightning breath game for them to dominate the Shrine. I would really not like them trying to go for a full massive wombo combo style, because I'm not sure if they can execute that here.
I mean, perhaps they are looking for a Phoenix of their own this time, going into the lightning breath, as you said, the consistent slows from Decade and Jaina, being able to just land that purification salvo consistently with value.
I mean, Jaina gives them a burst damage and also a lot of wave clear, so I like that. We have Diablo at the front, which is not a bad pick either. The Stukov ban pretty much showcases that they are afraid of anything similar happening to game 1, so they would rather give Malfurion over to the Giants than Stukov. And I can understand that. I mean, Stukov has downsides for sure, but the last game made it really difficult for them, and they just never had a chance to approach the Giants in team fights. And with Garrosh on the other side, you still have that combo of a throw into a Stukov silence and then a big snipe. So I don't mind it as a ban, even though on the pro level you would have most likely seen something different. I would really still like to see either Sonya or Blaze taken for the solo lane right now. I don't even think they have to
Malfurion.
go... Yeah, with Malfurion, exactly. I mean, Malfurion is kind of given, I feel, and we have him already. But I would really like the solo laner to be prioritized, and then additional damage coming in on the back end. But they actually leave the solo laner open to react to whatever Griefings do and go for Junkrat instead.
We have seen teams use Junkrat as the solo laners. Like you said, they've left themselves incredibly flexible while also giving themselves some nice little shrine clear. The AoEs from Junkrat can be extremely effective. The consistent poke onto Decade can be very good as well. And of course, Riptire is a huge amount of burst when you don't have a very burst-heavy support like Decade Kayn.
And especially against Jaina.
Oh, yes.
That's going to help them too. Which is another reason why I now want on their end Blaze to come in. I wanted to have Blaze as an early pick on the side of the Giants, because I think if they don't take it, it's going to take it away. The hero is just so fantastic. We've seen his insane win ratio at the mid-season brawl. They go for the Haka instead, which adds the global as the added value, and the Cassia. I'm not really sure if I'm on board with either one of the picks. The Haka is never a bad choice, but I'm a little bit... My mind's a bit boggled that you wouldn't go for Blaze here, especially with the Deckard Kayn as a solo support and Jaina combo. I think Blaze with the added bunker as a defensive layer would have added a lot here for them.
But Blaze from the other side as well, CLN Giants, locking that in right now could be absolutely devastating if they were to take that, considering so much of what we are seeing from Griefix here looks like it could be setting up for a wombo, so bunker to interject into that could be incredibly disrupting to the tempo.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, Blaze would be an auto lock-in. If I take anything away from the series so far, in terms of maybe advice to the teams, it's that they don't prioritize Blaze too much. We haven't seen him banned or picked in the last game either, and I think given how dominant he currently is, and most of the pro teams call him straight up broken, that's a bit of an oversight and something that can easily be fixed by them. But we have Thrall taken again. Now,
Yeah.
Thrall isn't horrible, but I would still have expected, I still think that Blaze is the better option here for them in those fights. Be that as it may, game number 2 coming up, so the Giants are in the lead right now with a 1-0 and have the chance to close out the best of 3 on Infernal Giants. So let's check out if that's going to work out for them, or if Griefings is going to come back into this. Alright, boys and girls, game number 2 is up, and we have, to the left side, down 1 game in the series here at HeroesLaunch.gg, Griefings, with Nightborn on Jaina, Blommen on Cassia, Hit on Dehaka, Ainga on Diablo, and Chikador this time on Deckard Cain, the old man.
And on the right-hand side, it is going to be the CLN Giants, with Heranos playing Thrall, Steffi IQ playing Junkrat, Get Andre on Hanzo, Serral on Garrosh, and Ison96 playing the Malfurion.
Pretty excited for this one. We had a very good coordinated game from the Giants in game number 1. Question is just simply, can they pull that off again? They have some really nice tools. They can go into a combo with Garrosh into a Malfurion route, and oh, Garrosh already in trouble, but here comes the setup at 10. Nice kill against Jaina. Really well done. Now, Serral might still fall, but you could already see the effect of all that displacement that is being used here on the side of the Giants. I really like that setup, and Serral even gets out as we have Thrall already up to the top on the solo lane. Great start for CLN.
Yeah, kill all 3 lanes of XP being soaked. This is a fantastic beginning for them, making use of that Concussion Mine and the Garrosh throw, so really cool to see here. You mentioned combos, by the way. I did realize that I was wondering why the Cassia. I mean, she's gone for a Lightning Fury build, so she's going for a little bit of poke style. I was wondering, like, there's no other silences to, blinds to synergize with her. And then I realized there's technically one, Deckard Cain level 20. So if that is the plan, that's the longest wombo wait I will have ever seen.
Yeah, if that was the plan, then I wouldn't like the plan. Let's just put it like that. Any kind of plan that starts with, once we have level 20 is a bad plan. That's basically what happens.
Most plans that start with once we have level 60, there's still potentially a super risky plan. So...
yeah. Like in the past, we had plans where you went into a Nazeebo and then you try to simply stack heroes that can delay the game, like Ragnaros, for example, with a Molten Core. And that was a thought process that was actually pretty sweet, but I don't think that exists anymore. And Ainga also doesn't exist anymore for another couple of seconds because he got pretty quickly obliterated here. That was a pretty nice move once again. I have to say that the Giants are actually playing this really well thus far. Might not agree with every single choice in draft that they make or think that there are better options, but I really like the displacement setup that they have. They have good follow-up usually once that an opportunity is created with the damage output, so they're not going to make it easy for Griefers to come back into this.
Yeah, they're playing this super effectively. These rotations are really good. Their damage output after they get the toss or even the Junkrat Mine is really good. I have no complaints about the CLN Giants in this game as of yet. They're even going to grab themselves a Merc camp. XP-wise, they will probably miss a little bit of mid-XP due to this camp being taken, but that shouldn't be too bad for them.
I kind of like how Garrosh is anchoring this the entire time, by the way. So they have a trap over here, and they have Garrosh checking out if someone else is coming close. And now they're even invading the left side, with Garrosh boldly walking forward, demanding the respect here, and they're going to try and steal that away. Now, Junkrat is coming in. They're gonna try and play around that, but here comes the attack by the blue team. Griefings is trying to make this happen. Serral is in trouble on his Garrosh, but steals the camp, gets it, uses the Indomitable, and tries to get out of this, and looks like he can make that happen. Hiddo, on the other hand, on Dehaka is trying to run down Junkrat, but if he doesn't get another drag connected, and he fails it, he's not going to succeed there either. So that's a ton of resources that was just used by Griefings, and they didn't get anything out of it. Especially unfortunate for them, since they're going to lose the entire wave at the top, because Dehaka burrowed down to the bot lane, and Thrall is already getting the head start on the objective itself.
Yeah, they lost top wave, they lost their own camp. That was a disastrous play there. CLN Giants continuing to pile on the pressure, grabbing the mercenaries, putting pressure onto top lane. XP is being missed. Here we see a almost desperate attempt by Griefings to try and pick up a kill to begin some comeback XP, but Indomitable says no. Farolda not able to get the toss that time. He looked for a combo, but not landing.
Yeah, that didn't quite work for him. But here comes one of the problems when you are looking at... So let's talk a little bit about what could have gone better on the side of Griefings. So one of the mistakes that they made, if you actually burrow down into a fight with Dehaka and you're giving up the lane to your opponent that is still on lane, you need to get value because you're going to lose some experience on the lane you just left. So you always have to make sure that you connect with the Drac on the other lane and you secure at least a kill so that you get some value out of it. With that not happening, there was an immediate trade-off in favor of the Giants. And so they got not only a lead on the objective, but they also got a lead in experience on the top. So afterwards we didn't even have someone rotate back up to deal with that, and now they have to face the music, and that means Punisher #1 is gonna end up in the hands of CLN. And at the same time we're also having already an experience lead. Might be a small one, but it's definitely there.
Yep, here's level 7, finally achieved, but now they have to defend this Punisher, so they have to be very careful to not get locked down. Nice, easy pull over the wall there by Engar, so very sad to play, pulling the Punisher to a very safe position.
Since we're also talking about amateur scene here and amateur play and what people can do better, what you just saw is something, if you're a newer player to Heroes, you always need to make that happen. If the Punisher approaches your wall, never stand in front of the wall. Now the Punisher jump is basically like an ability, so it has a cooldown. So what you're trying to do is you stand behind the wall, you give the Punisher vision by attacking him from behind the wall with a spell or ranged auto attack, and that will proc the jump, so the Punisher is going to jump over the wall and makes the defense easier, and then you can use it. If you proc it in front of the wall, that ability goes on a cooldown, and it means that only 2 towers attack the Punisher, and you will have a much harder time defending against it, so your opponent gets more value out of it. So always make sure that you don't linger in front of the wall when your opponent grabs it, move behind it, have one of the range damage dealers attack it or throw an ability out and then proc it over. It's one of the things that you will see in pro game all the time, but in case you're a bit newer to Heroes of the Storm, or that's something that you don't regularly do on Infernal Shrines, it's definitely one of the things you should, one of the habits you should pick up.
And to expand on that a little bit, because there's a lot of people who do know about that, but still somehow manage to do it a little bit wrong. You should always let your either tankiest team member or a member who has an insta teleporter escape, so a Nubrak Burrow, Eldrin's Might on Tyrael, for example, so that don't group up with the person who's pulling the Punisher over. Yeah, you want to maximize damage, but you're going to get stunned, and that either allows you taking too much damage, meaning you can't defend as efficiently, or the enemy, if they have hypermobile heroes, to follow up on the Punisher. So always make sure only one person is pulling the Punisher. Everyone else, just back up, show a little bit of patience.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, try and adopt it in your play. And so far, the disadvantage on the side of Griefings isn't really too bad. I mean, we're having half a level behind. They need to be careful around level 10 at this point, because there could be a heavy engage, but so far that hasn't really happened. Now keep in mind, there's a couple of combos that can now be used, even Tranquility being utilized on Eisen's side with his Malfurion, just to have the extra sustain throughout the shrine itself, which makes perfect sense for them. And I really like the way that they're trying to control the map through camps. So they're really just taking those away.
Yeah.
This up at the top left, by the way, is also nice that they're going for the camp here too. Now the question is, when do you cap that? Normally you're trying to make it happen once that the objective is announced, so that you get a little bit of top lane pressure going. So if they can delay grabbing the camp, that would be great, but I actually think at this point they're just going to grab it right away. And that could backfire, because now it allows for free clear through Thrall at the top lane. And if we would now, for example, see this camp taken a bit later by CLN Giants, then that would create another big diversion on the top lane once that the shrine itself spawns. And they are already making their way over, so this is going to be great for them if they take this now.
So let's talk about talents here for a second. This is an auto-attack Hanzo, going with the classic, very old style of Redemption and the sharpened arrows. So that's a little bit unusual to see for starters. We're not seeing Sleep, even though we do see Apoc and Ring. So the wombo combo is there between those two, but we see Lornado, no Sleep, to set up for that instead. And Cassia, we already mentioned, going for the Q build, and Diablo is going for the one-shot build, the full burst with the Sacrificial Soul and Malevolence.
And as we are seeing the shrine now being attacked, now keep in mind what we talked about with the camp earlier. It was a free clear for Thrall at the top, as you could see. Now the camp has been taken by the Giants, and they have now the push, which means that Thrall can literally just walk down into the lane, and Dehaka will have to stay top or abandon the lane to the camp. So it's another pressure point for the Griefings, but they have now a pretty solid performance here. Here comes Thrall. That's exactly what we meant. They're going for Jaina in the backline, and that could be the kill. Tornado is already used. The Ring of Frost is actually hitting in this case, and they're going for Malfurion. Malf is nearly taken down, but somehow survives long enough to at least allow them the counter kill against Cassia. Again, Serral in a bit of trouble here, but also Hedonist Dehaka is eating a lot of damage here. Gets the isolation through. Jaina is down. Garrosh still surviving as Deckard gets wrecked as well.
Nice moves here by CLN Giants. They looked a little bit shaky, and we won't see Dehaka pick up another kill. Nice toss by Garrosh, saving Steffi there, and he will go down here. But overall, because of this, we already mentioned, Dehaka tunneled in for that nice little move, got caught by a Junkrat mine, but while that was happening, this camp is still pushing the top lane.
Absolutely, and I really, really want to emphasize again how important these timings are. If you're playing on a team yourself, you have a team league game going, or you're playing in an amateur league, timings of camps, especially these big ones, night camps for example, are super important. Nice opportunity against created by Garrosh, and that's another kill against Diablo. And look at all the value they got. They got the Punisher, they have taken the top fort with it now too, so that's a 2-level advantage for them already. And a lot of this happened because the blue team took their own camp too early, and then we had the red team, we had the Giants react in time. So if your opponent makes mistakes like this, these are small opportunities where you can get a solid lead in structures on the map, and that's what they're doing right now. And they're of course pushing this even farther. Like at this point, the Giants are playing a great game here.
Yes, they are. They are 2 and a bit levels ahead, which is already pretty mind-blowing. A full talent ahead, and about to be 3 forts ahead as they put the pressure onto bot lane. Garrosh using his slam here to try and help clear the waves as it comes their next minion wave. Throttle focusing on Tahida. There is the tunnel. Taunt is used to give Serral a chance to escape here. Riptire getting caught in the Tornado, but still able to get the damage out as they're focusing onto Blowman. The lightning from Thrall is good, but the healing is also fantastic thanks to that Ring of Leech and the healing of Chikador. So only Diablo goes down.
And well, let's just talk a little bit about what teams can do to maybe avoid a situation like this. So what happened here? Basically, the blue team realized our opponent overstayed a bit at the fort. There is no minion wave to soak the shots anymore, so we can try and collapse on them, and that's what they did. And that decision is actually completely fine. The problem that we had with it is that once that the red team was able to walk away from the fort, they followed, and you should never do that in this situation. The reason is quite simple. They were roughly a quarter level away from level 13, and we had not only a massive advantage in experience on the side of the opponent, but we also had a talent advantage. So going into that fight when you can't isolate them anymore was a huge risk to take, and they paid again for it by losing several heroes. So it's one of those situations when, ideal world, you would try and wait for 13 and then engage into a fight, try and fight on even talents, unless you're so desperate that you feel we will never get an even talent fight and have to take some battle, then you can still attack into it. But that always has to be the thought process if you're going into a fight like this. Do we have to take this, or can we wait until we have even talents?
Well, nice kill there onto the Dehaka. He was just trying to clear, just trying to soak, but got caught out. He was able to get a nice little burrow to dodge a little bit of damage, but there was just too much relentless 1v5. Nothing you can do there.
Yeah, already at the bot lane, we have that cleared by the blue team, trying to get some XP. They're 3 levels behind right now in a massive talent as well. So they have to take some structures. If they can make that happen, that would be great, because that is going to close the gap a little bit. They will most likely have to let the next... I don't like that they all move back here. I think they don't really have vision, so they're a bit afraid that there's a collapse coming onto the bot lane. Dehaka should at least take over some of the experience. The name of the game for Griefings has to be come back into this, but Jaina is now falling up at the top. There's massive pressure going. The talent advantage is there for the Giants, and they're using this really well. That was a nice little isolation attempt at Thrall, and they actually get the kill. And it's a lot of comeback experience here too. So right now, that was at least a good pick. Also defense here. But the Shrine should still go over to the Giants, because you can't really contest this. So what Griefings should do is split onto the lanes, pressure them, try and take some structures if they can, and close the experience gap so that they can defend with level 16. It would most likely mean that they're going to lose the top keep, but it would still allow them to go at least into an even fight. Contesting the Shrine at this point would be pretty much suicide.
Also, just to go back to that Thrall death quickly, this is the one reason you don't stand next to gates even if you're a melee hero, you just take the risk and use any poke abilities you have when you're against a Diablo or a Garrosh, because that was the #1 reason for that kill. Although, I was also very impressed. The first Lord Nado we saw as a clear there, and speaking of which, Agar gets taken out. But the Lord Nado for the zone was good. Dragon Arrow onto Deckard Cain, and goodbye Deckard Cain.
Yeah, Deckard is going to fall here as well, and that's a double kill. And this is another example where this was more or less a suicide. They were so close to 16, so they could have literally just kept their Haka on lane, try and get the waves, and then with 16 move into the fight itself. Now there's an argument to be made for Thrall not being there, but the Haka didn't join the fight in time either. So if they would have just delayed that attack a little bit, they would have had a chance to actually go into an even fight. But now they are again 2.5 levels behind. It's 13 kills against 2. They're going to have an easy Punisher now for the Giants, and they're already pushing this back cap at the top. So with this, they should get the keep, at least. And then the question is simply, are they going to get the kills to go for core, or are they going to wait for level 20 and then fall back to get some map control?
Let's find out. They're moving in for the keep immediately at the moment. Thrall also rotating up. Heather keeping himself hidden because he's waiting to see if he's needed. He's absolutely needed, tunneling in as Thrall tried to dive past it to try and get the moves done, and he does go down. Here we see Garrosh going down as well, and honestly, this is really, really nice. This is a terrible area to get caught in. Dragon Arrow bought Ison some time as he's pulling back, but he is getting absolutely bodied right now. In the meantime, Punisher is killing the keep, but that is a lot of comeback experience and potentially just save them the game.
There is a lot to talk about with that, because at first it was just like, what is Diablo doing? That's a suicide attempt if I've ever seen one. And he went deep for that. But at the same time, the area that they fought in was fantastic. So what was the thought process here? The thought process was basically that Griefings just said, we can't fight on the Punisher. If we fight on the Punisher, it's going to jump on us, we're going to get stunned, and they're going to wreck us. So we have to go past the Punisher somehow, and we have to flank them. So that's why Diablo went into that area. I don't even think he realized that everyone was clustered there. So he was a bit far out as the fight started, and I think he could have actually been taken down if CLN Giants realized it quickly enough and went for him. But then as the fight actually is ongoing and it's a 5 versus 5, it's still 16 versus 16 in Talons. So that's the most even fight that they got all game. And because it was such a closed off area, all the ults that were coming through with the Ring of Frost, with Apocalypse, just were massive value. And that was something where the Giants got absolutely caught off guard. And that was a fantastic fight for them. And they still lost the keep at the top, but they saved the game, and now they are 1.5 levels behind. The level 20 is there, but there's a bit of a potential that they might be able to get their Storm Talons and force some even fights here.
But you mentioned the level 20s are here for the CLN Giants. They even saw the Haka tunnel up to the top lane. He's still showing on lane, so they're trying to make something happen because they know they have the man advantage. And Diablo getting absolutely dropped here. He actually survives! His fire keeps him alive, and finally he gets taken out by Junkrat. And the other kill onto Deckard. The Haka comes to hell, but ends up being a sacrifice. Has to use tunneling claws to get out.
Now, this is one of the big disadvantages of only running Deckard Cain. It's just not a hero that will help you with a burst sustain if you are attacked by everyone on the opponent's side. One of the reasons why Blaze would have been great, but then again, Blaze doesn't have the global that they're currently using to try and get back into this. But yeah, 17 minutes in, we finally have the quest on Cassia completed. It's pretty late at that, but still, they're going to try and get some extra damage out with it. They're still a level behind. The shrine hasn't really been announced yet. It's going to happen in the middle, so they might get enough experience through the Haka if he can go to the bot lane and soak that up, but it's not going to be easy. And I really love what the Giants do right now, because they have the advantage, and they're not just simply sitting tight, they actually push in that 4 versus 5 situation with Storm Talons to drop the keep. So this is really one of those moments when you're trying to capitalize on a massive advantage you have in the game, so that your opponent is not going to be able to come back into this later on.
But coming back into it is kind of what the Giants are doing. Their 2 keeps down, but the fact, sorry, not the Giants, the Griefings are doing, because their 2 keeps down, but the fact is they are alive. That is the most important thing here. This game could have been over so many times now, but now they're just playing inside their base, cleaning up the lanes. If they can defend this keep as well, that's marvelous news. And then they just have to start winning team fights, which is not the easiest task in the world, but they have to Haka. they have a global, so what they can do here is play it a bit slower, get level 20, look for that big team fight, and then rely on that global potential to keep their own base alive while they make the plays.
They can't let that Punisher go over, though. That's a big problem. They need the 20 right now. Even if the Punisher is baited down to the bottom keep, that just doesn't cut it. Right now, you need your 20, and then you need to engage into the fight, and that's what they're doing. Dehaka's at the top. He's going to wait for it. Play it a bit patient. You need to win the team fight one way or another. If you lose the team fight, it's literally over. So just get the remaining wave. There's the 20, and now coordinate that fight and make sure that you win it. This is the one chance that they have to get back into this.
Alright, they're moving in. There is the Indomitable, immediately taunting Diablo, trying to make it. Here's the APOC, though. Huge damage onto Thrall, who appears to be the main target here. We see Heather completely zoning Ice and no tranquility value, but the double kill by Junkrat and Hanzo. The choke point with all that AoE damage is mental, as Deckard will get absolutely not stopped, actually. Nice little slows there by Jaina, consistently keeping him alive. Chikador also surviving. In the meantime, Dehaka is having a pretty rough time up in the top lane. He's getting chased down by two members here. There's minions here and mercenaries. He is almost certainly going to die. Tries to drag as a last chance to escape, but gets taken out. 3-0 to the CLN Giants.
Yeah, Dehaka extinct again. Now we have the Punisher taken too, and that is going to be the conclusion of the game for sure. Yeah. There's just no stopping that. Everyone already collapsing onto the core, the catapults pushing in, you have a camp to boot up at the top. Now Jaina's in trouble as well, as Nightborn is all of a sudden attacked. The Riptire not quite taking her out here, but of course the core is not going to survive this. This is going to be a 2-0 victory in the series for the CLN Giants. Very dominant series by them. Great snipe combo in game number 1, and now good coordination on map number 2 as well. GG, well played, and a 2-0 victory for the Giants over Griefings. Thank you very much for watching today's episode, and if you guys liked the video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, and of course, if you want to support the channel, then make sure that you subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I'm going to be back with more content pretty soon, so see you guys soon with another Heroes of the Storm commentary, or maybe an interview or two.